It is 6:30. I'd like to call this regular meeting of the Old Saybrook Police Commission to order. Please join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we ask for comments from the public, I'd like to invite a motion that we amend the agenda by moving items 12 and 13, comments from the chief and comments from police commissioners, to follow item 7, comments from the public.
So moved.
Second.
This requires a 5/7 vote to carry, so we'll do a roll call. Mr.
So.
No?
Yes.
Wilcox, yes?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Unanimous. Thank you. Comments from the public. Do we have any in the live audience? Please come forward. Tell us who you are.
At least there was no competition for this small time period. But anyway, my name is Tom Stevenson. I live in Oak. And I had a couple of questions, and I'm not sure whether they can be answered tonight or not, but I had a question about the perf study, whether or not there's going to be any feedback before the end of the result comes across. And the other is the FOI issue with the officer that wanted the exit interview, and whether or not that exit interview will be released to the officer only, or whether it'll be released to the public. I haven't asked that question before, and so I don't have that knowledge. So that's my comments tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any others? In the virtual audience, would anyone like to raise their hand? No hands raised. No hands raised. All right. Item 3, discussion and possible action on the meeting minutes for our regular meeting of July 22. I invite a motion to approve them as submitted.
I make the motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion, comments? Good job, Jim. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Correspondence. We're going to be dealing under item 6 with recent correspondence regarding possible action on traffic safety issues that have been raised in recent correspondence. The only other correspondence that I've received, I've distributed to the other commissioners. If anyone would like to address any of that, now would be the time. All right.
Are we going to be talking about that under the traffic information?
Yes. Executive reports, Chief.
Thank you. Good evening, commissioners. So we have the final reconciled fiscal year 24 operating budget for your review. As you see that we have just shy of a $270,000 surplus. You can see all the different various line items and where they are. The surplus is mainly for one main reason is we were down personnel, right? So as you're down personnel, as I report every single month, our salary line item stays in the black. Our extra personnel line item goes into the red, but does not overshadow the salary line item. So that really is the majority of our surplus.
Quick question on that, Chief. Am I correct in my general assumption that although we're backfilling with often overtime rates, time and a half, that is still cheaper than a fully freighted hire with all the benefits associated with that person?
Yeah, correct, because there's no fringe benefits with someone who's backfilling. But I also remind the commission, I briefed you during the middle of last fiscal year when we had our kind of our personnel crisis that I pulled back from some of our special assignments. So some of the detective type work or some other special assignment type work, those folks were put back on the road to backfill patrol. And that also negated some overtime costs. So not an optimal thing to do for the operation, but a necessary thing to be fiscally responsible.
I have 2 other questions and then turn it over to any other questions from commissioners. Under general expenditures, police service infotech, we had a $50,000 shortfall. What was primarily that?
Yeah, so remember, when we talk shortfalls, we look at the the bottom line of the budget.
I'm
And
sorry,
so-
I don't mean a shortfall, I mean excess.
Yeah, so when we got towards the end of the year and we had some excess funds, one of the things that I did report to the commission is that we were gonna invest in some information technology. A lot of the computers in our building were original from our move-in in 2014, 2015. So we had an opportunity to buy some refurbished computers, we didn't even buy new, refurbished computers, and we did that, and those will be slowly deployed to rotate through the offices that sadly need a quicker computer.
All right, and then the other large item that I had to raise a question about was roughly 4 or 5 times as much spent on other supplies as was budgeted.
Yeah, so other supplies is a big catch-all category, as you know, in your budget book. And so when we have a surplus at the end of the year, we are able to buy all of those things that we don't do at the beginning of the year. So remember that I freeze the budget just like our fiscal year 25 budget. That's frozen as of July 1st. Everyone gets that message. And so as we get into the end of the year and we have not expended our budget, we are able to go out and purchase those things that we need. In this case, we purchased some additional items that we've been lacking, and now they're in stock.
Can you give us a general description of the kinds of supplies that you're talking about?
Yeah, I mean, it's anything from our building cleaning supplies that we like to keep a nice stockpile of, any of our office supplies, our ink cartridges, paper, you know, all that type of stuff. You'll find that probably.
Should I run out and buy stock in HP?
Not anymore, because it already has, but maybe next year. You know, and so, you know, silly things like, in the middle of COVID, what was one of the largest commodities that was out of stock for everybody?
Mask.
Toilet paper.
Toilet paper.
Yes.
We were never out of stock, right? So we always had what we needed to operate and provide those very important creature comforts. So we enjoy making sure that we are stockpiled and ready to go, and bundle purchasing saves us money, and that's what we're able to do at the end of the year.
Let me take this in order. Jackie, did you have any questions?
Yeah, I just had a few questions, and again, I'm
This
prefacing.
is on the last year's budget, not on this year's budget. We haven't gotten to this year's yet.
Right. And keep in mind, not to interrupt, keep in mind, you see this once a month. And so for the people watching at home, I want to make sure everyone understands that this is not the first time the police commission sees a budget is at the end of the year. You see the budget every single time that we have a meeting.
Yes, that is certainly true.
Very true.
Thank you.
Did you have something?
Jackie?
No, I think I'm gonna wait till we're on this budget.
I have
nothing on last year's.
Okay, yeah, I had many of the same, observations that you did when you were pointing out certain of these items. So would you say then for most of the general expenditures that ended up with a very large negative number as a balance, that you did that because you had the extra money? So, because I'm looking at this thinking, holy cow, what's gonna happen in a year where we're fully staffed?
Mhm.
And then we have to spend all of this money.
We won't buy toilet paper.
We will buy toilet paper. So you should know, as we talk about in the budget process, we know that when we have not increased a line item in our budget for more than a decade, but the cost of goods has certainly skyrocketed, we're going to see a negative impact in our budget. But what we do is we choose not to over budget, and so the taxpayer is not overtaxed, and we balance our budget. And so while our expense line item ran in the negative, the overall budget ended in the positive. And so we see our budget in 3 parts, but it's one department. And so the one department budget had a surplus. And so that's how we balance our
Right.
budgets. If we could not do that, we would not make the expenditures. This is no different than last year when I came to the commission and said, listen, I want to make a significant investment in officer safety equipment. And this commission said yes, and we spent way more than that in our general expenditure budget. But overall, the budget ended the fiscal year in the black. And so that's what we focus on. We focus on the bottom line, not necessarily every single little individual category. That
Mark?
makes sense.
I'm all
Yes, it
set.
does.
Thank you. You covered the.
I'm sorry, did you have any?
No,
questions?
I'm set.
Carl, any questions?
I don't have any questions.
Jessica, did you have any questions?
The only question I had, and I'm sorry, somebody just randomly showed up at my house, so I don't know, but they're leaving. You said, Chief, that you were, you had to pull the special assignments back and that, to help with patrol. So what if and it, correct me if I misheard that, but like what happens with those special assignments?
They sit vacant and specific work isn't done.
Okay,
So
now,
the agency's priority is always patrol, right? That's the
Right.
backbone of our agency. So
okay,
from me on down to the least senior patrolman, we all have to be at the ready to answer a call for service. That's our primary function. And so when you're confronted with a personnel issue, you take away from some of the special assignments, or you don't backfill a special assignment vacancy, and you commit that resource to the core function, which is responding to calls for service. As we get back up to staff, remember, we have 3 individuals in the academy. Hopefully we'll have 2 individuals going in October, but when those 3 graduate in a couple months and then they're done with their field training, we'll be able to put people back in those special assignment positions.
okay, now these special assignments, and I don't need details unless everybody else would like them. They're not affecting like, you know, the citizens or residents, like they're all still being taken care of. What are these special assignments of? You know, what would they be of?
So different things, it could be things dedicated to our youth, it could be assets assigned to the detective division, it could be a special assignment to deal with a certain community problem. But I would say, Jessica, by us focusing on our core function, which is responding to calls for service, obviously the community is not suffering. If there's not people in positions, there's tasks that are not being done, and those tasks eventually will have to be done. But my focus is making sure that we field a team to answer the 911 calls.
Okay, yeah, all right, thank you.
And I think there's widespread agreement with that priority.
And I do have one more question.
Sure.
Professional development is in 3 places here.
Yes.
And in each case, it's in the negative.
Mhm.
Now, my assumption when I'm looking at this is because we have a young force and they need far more training.
And remember, so the professional development in expenses and supplies is to pay for a course or to pay for materials for a course.
Okay.
The professional development and support and the professional development in field services, that's to pay the people to attend professional development.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Chief, back to you and the next executive report, 2025 operating budget.
Great, so this is your first look at the new version of the 2025 operating budget. Everyone saw Jill's email, I think that, was that everyone?
No, I
No,
didn't
okay.
send it.
So Jill sent me an email and said, hey, I took out my calculator, I'm paraphrasing, and
Yeah.
this doesn't all add up. And so when you listen to me year over year say we freeze the budget on July 1st, and there are some line items that get front loaded, right? Like our employee assistance program, we write one check at the beginning of the year so it doesn't pace with the 12 months. You're able to figure out that, all right, you know, X number % of the year has gone by, X number % of the budget has been expended, et cetera, et cetera. This year, at the beginning of the year, I received a communication from the first selectman that I'm pretty sure was created by our finance director. And they really want us on the recommendation of the auditors for the town to participate in the town's purchase order system. Traditionally, we have not participated in the purchase order system for a variety of reasons. Mainly, we have a budget. And before the town started putting together their town budget book, we were the only agency in the town of Old Saybrook that actually created that budget book that we've come to know and love, right? So 15 years ago, before that, 2020, whatever it was, we've always had this budget book that talks about the line item, the expenditure for that line item, and what that is exactly for, which I think is very transparent. During the budget process, the police commission reviews that, and when you adopt a budget, you're pretty much adopting our spending plan, right, in accordance with that missile. The town would like, and we would make expenditures in accordance with that document, and you would watch every month the balance go down, the expenditures go up, using very simple math. The town has asked us to encumber funds for specific vendors that we know they're going to. For example, our electricity line item, there's only going to be one vendor that we pay an electrical bill to, and it's Eversource. And so they have asked us to encumber that money to Eversource. It doesn't go there. It doesn't leave the town treasury. It's just earmarked to be spent there. But when you encumber funds, it makes the reports that you guys used to get look a little bit different. It almost makes it look we've already spent the money, and we have not. And so we have 27 different vendors that we have encumbered funds to, that we know that during this fiscal year 25, they will receive funds from our budget. And so that's how encumbrance works. I am not a fan of this at all, but this is what the auditors have asked, and the first selectman has asked us to conform to the purchase order system by July 1st, 2025. I just thought it would be important to do that now.
Do it now.
Right. Now, my only concern is the communication that, we got cited that we weren't being as transparent as we could be when we were not using the purchase order system. And I do not believe that that is the case at all, right? Our budget book is very transparent. I report monthly to the Board of Police Commissioners. We post our expenditures monthly as part of your packet online. I think we are incredibly transparent with the way we spend taxpayer money. No one can spend money without it going through the checks and balance system in town. I don't have a checkbook that I write out a check to a vendor. It's a check request that goes through the normal process like every other department in town. A check is issued by our finance department. It is sent back to us. We make a photocopy of that check because I like to keep very good records, and then it goes out to the vendor. So that is the process. That is why the report looks a little bit wonky. And what I can do is I can maybe provide you with a list of the vendors and the amount of money that we've had encumbered in which line item. Maybe that will be helpful, but I still think it's hard without a secret decoder ring to figure this out.
What about putting a separate column in that document that just has what's encumbered?
We can ask. This comes from the town system.
Oh, that, okay.
Yes. So we stopped doing our own sheets years ago because there was a discrepancy between what the town had on file,
That's right, I remember.
right, and what we had on file just because of timing. And so we all decided that we would not keep two separate records, that there would be one record and that we would all go in accordance with the record that comes from the finance department. So I can ask if there's a different version of the report that maybe does that.
My concern is, you've explained it to me, I get it. And I can mentally make the accommodations for what's missing in these columns. But this does go online, and the average citizen is going to look at this, and in the effort to gain more transparency, I think it looks less transparent.
I could not agree more. Could not agree with you more. It looks like I've blown through money in the first month of the fiscal year,
It's horrible.
and that is not the case.
So something has to be rectified here.
Mhm.
I think for us to be able to present it accurately to the
I
citizens.
don't understand how they're calling it a purchase order when usually a purchase order, you've already gotten a price on what something's gonna be and you have your purchase order. How do they know what, unless they just are gonna send a big check to Eversource, I don't.
So
Yes,
when we
I know.
encumber, I'll use smaller numbers, right? So say our budget for Eversource this year is $1,500. We certainly know with the right rate hikes, that is not the real number. But let's just say it's $1,500 and we encumbered $1,400. The town system knows that we're gonna spend $1,400 of that $1,500 on the vendor Eversource. And we will deduct from that $1,400 every time we submit a check request for Eversource. So it's like earmarking your money. But I think that would make more sense if we had like 3 line items and not 50 some odd line items, because our line items themselves pretty much earmark money, right? We have a line item for natural gas. Who else is getting money out of that line item, right? So if I took money out of the natural gas line item and did something else with it, I think the police commission should say to me, Chief, what are you doing? You presented a budget that said this amount of money was for natural gas. There's a description that it's supposed to go to natural gas, and you didn't spend it on natural gas. That's an issue.
How many vendors did you say it was?
So Jen, has done purchase orders for 27 vendors. We have many more vendors than this. And so one of my,
Like a current.
yeah, so one of my other complaints about this type of system is it discourages department heads to find the best price. So look, purchase order systems have been around for a really, really long time. But they were around before the time where someone can go click, click and find a cheaper price. I like finding the better price to buy something at, to be as responsible as I can for the taxpayer. And so when we encumber money, if I find a better price, we actually have to unencumber the money and then re-encumber it to the new vendor. And so I just don't think it flows well.
I understand that in terms of heating oil and gas for cars that you pre-buy, but like, you don't pre-buy your electricity. I don't pre-buy my electricity. I don't know if anyone else does, but I don't, I've never.
So you're using like a placeholder for it.
Yeah, and what I'm saying is I don't need it because I already have my budget line item. I already have a place order for electricity and natural gas and medical supplies and.
Is there a way that when you give us our report, if you could bold the vendors so that it,
The problem,
stands out?
Mark, is this is coming from town hall.
Right.
It's not coming from the police.
Right, so we go into the town system, we download the report
And
because that's.
they can't bold that item.
Well,
I don't think so, but let me go back and ask the finance director and say, listen, the new system, whether I like it or not, whatever, it's causing a reporting issue to my commission. Is there a different way to present this that will actually show we haven't expended the money? They're not concerned. I don't think anyone here is concerned about what I encumber. I think you're more concerned about what I'm spending. Is that what I'm hearing?
well, that would be my position on
Yeah,
it,
that's,
but
yeah.
Right? I
Yeah,
mean,
what you spent and what you have left.
right, okay. So I'm on the same page as all of you. So let me ask and see if we can get.
Would they
Thank
be
you.
willing to
And-
come to a meeting? So that way we're all hearing the same thing at the same time?
Meaning what? What are you not
Like
hearing?
have our finance director join us so that when we're addressing and raising these possibilities, she's here, she's familiar with the system.
Yeah, let me just ask her if there's a different report. I think that's a good place to start.
And if not, then I think your suggestion of giving us a list of who are the vendors who are entitled to encumberment and
For whatever
whatever.
that does for you.
Commodity,
Right.
yeah.
Okay, good. Off budget?
Well, are there any other questions on 2025 budget?
I think I have a
All
question.
Just a sec, Jackie.
Oh, go ahead.
she said
No,
she
no,
said-
no, I'm saying all good. I'm fine.
Back to you, Jackie.
I'm kind of almost piggybacking this purchase order, but in a different light. I'm wondering if there's a way that you can provide us like an overview of your goods that you purchase on a regular basis and put out like RFPs. So that, like you mentioned earlier, you want to get the best price, but we would have a comparison to view. So knowing, okay, the chief has decided to use ABC company for ammunition. Last year we used this year we're using this, there's a possibility we can use a different firm, get the same quality. We definitely don't want to, at any cost, compromise our team, but offer us some more clarity on options. I would like to see some options.
So we do not go out to RFP. A lot of our items like ammunition, we buy off state contract.
Oh, we do procure with them. Okay.
Of course, yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
All right.
And so the commission delegates the responsibility of managing the budget to my office. That's my job. I report back to you, but I certainly don't come back to you and say, hey, we're looking to buy toner. Here are the 3 different companies we went to. And
No,
we
I'm
chose the
saying
cheaper
large
one.
purchase items, not miscellaneous.
Yeah, anything that's large, it would be a capital item, would be either a request for a bid or an RFP or an RFQ with bid pricing.
Okay.
And so the commission would be involved in that. For example, when we flip the fleet every so often,
Right.
and we go out and we buy cars or the equipment for the cars, the police commission is privy to that document. And then you actually vote on who gets awarded the items, but not for our regular everyday operating expenses.
Okay.
Yeah, you trust us to shop around.
Just trying to have a better understanding as to what goes into it, what options are,
We always try to find the best price.
who's used in the past. and
We're not beneath
switch.
using a coupon. And sometimes we argue with our vendors. So we have longstanding vendors and we'll say
Oh,
to a
good.
vendor like WB Mason or Staples, hey, so-and-so can give us the better price. Can you match it? Or B&H Photo, sometimes it's less expensive on toner, but we want to buy locally and we give that person the opportunity to meet the price, match it, or beat it. So, I always love a good negotiation.
Yeah,
So
well,
fear not, we get.
that was kind of my trajectory here, like, okay.
Yeah, we don't just say, great, we'll take it. I don't think that's ever been in my.
No, I just wanted to know, like, what companies we've used in the past, what are we using now, what are the cost savings, where are they allocated to?
Yeah, you can ask the finance department for a vendor printout, and they can print out every single vendor that the town uses and which departments use them and things to that effect if you're interested.
Well, I would just be interested in. Okay.
Okay,
Anything else?
on to off budget.
Have the off-budget reports.
Any questions?
Any questions? They're pretty straightforward, I think.
Mark,
No, I'm good.
Jill,
I'm fine, I have no questions.
Renee, Jackie, anything on the off budget?
I think I'm okay. If I come up with something, I could always circle back. Thank you.
Carl? No, I don't see anything out of line. Jessica,
All
any
good.
questions?
All good.
Okay.
You know me, I'll just chime in when I need to.
Okay. Personnel matters.
No real personnel matters to discuss in open session, so I can go right to professional development. So one of our largest team trainings that we do annually is our active shooter training. So I just want to thank our new superintendent for giving us access to all the public schools, and Mother Elaine for giving us permission to be on the property at St. John's School for us to conduct our active shooter training. It was led by Captain DePerry and Master Sergeant DeMarco. And once again, they did a phenomenal job. So we were involved in all of the schools over a 2-day period. And our staff did an excellent job. And remember, those 2 days are a culmination of a month's worth of professional development. Every single roll call, there's drilling in the building, there's videos to watch, there's explanations from sergeants. That all leads up to the culmination of those 2 master days. So I want to thank my team for doing that, thank the school system, the teachers for vacating their classrooms a little bit early on 2 days, so that we could do the training in the school that we hope never, ever has to be used in reality. The activity report you have in your packets.
I had one question.
Sure.
Under motor vehicle enforcement, July, there's about twice as much as any other month. What was happening there? Was that a shift in priorities, or was that just the summer crowds?
I think that was a little bit of a push from the top down to make sure that we were using all of our downtime in the most proactive of manners. And I would say that the sergeants and patrol staff responded to that directive.
So it was, I suspected as much. Excuse me. Any other questions, comments?
Yep, sorry. And then the last thing is we had our back to school supply event today. It was extremely successful. I'd say almost close to 200 kids easily came through that line. We grilled some hot dogs for them as well, gave out some chips, and you know, it's a great event because it's not a handout, right, to people who need that. It's literally an empowering event. And so, you know, the Spare Office Superstore is out in a parking lot, but it's all organized and people go through, their parents and the kids go through, they pick out what they want. They want this color folder, great. They want this, great. And it's a very nice event. You know, times are tough. I think everyone here around this table knows this. You know, the cost of goods is just out of control. And as I mentioned, every time that we do something like this, you know, the difference between not needing assistance and needing a little bit of a help is just paper thin. And so we're very happy as an agency for the ability to receive some donated funds or goods to be able to put on events like this year after year. And we're really proud that we're able to serve that community as one of our non-traditional programs. All 3 SROs participated today, so the kids got to see lots of hugs. Not so much with the high school hugging, but more the school hugging. But you know, it's great for the kids to see their SROs. It's great for the parents to see it. Patrolman Moore was there, was able to greet our only Spanish-speaking parents or children, which really makes them feel welcomed and safe. And it was just a great event. So from 1 to 4 today, they were there eating hot dogs and chips and getting their school supplies and getting excited to go back to school. And we're happy to be part of that.
So who donates the supplies?
Yeah, this year there was a little bit of so let me back up. What I do is at the end of back to school season, I tend to go to a Walmart or Staples and say, what do you want to get rid of from your back room at a reduced price? And then we take donated funds that's in one of our accounts and we purchase and we just store. And so we're usually a year ahead. Last year, we went through so many school supplies, we actually had to buy in season. So it was a little bit more costly, but just as necessary. And then we'll go back at the end of this year and I'll wheel and deal in the back room and see what I can get for our kids for next year.
Is that coming out of one of the off-budget accounts?
It does. So we have just a donation account, not like I fell down, you picked me up, thank you very much, here's $20. It's people who specifically donate to a cause like this. So our holiday giving, Thanksgiving, our Christmas, events like this, all that cash that people donate sits in an account and then goes right back to help people.
I'm sorry, could you tell us which account that is?
I don't think, that's not part, that's part of just a town account. Yeah.
We
Yeah.
did from the Lions Club give Heather a lot of stuff at social
And
services.
so it wound up right here.
I think
Yeah.
that's what she said.
100%, yeah. And the Republicans Women's Club dropped off a bag. And so different people will drop off stuff and it just winds up all coming together.
That's fabulous.
Do you have an upcoming?
Oh, sorry.
The next event, I think, will be our Give the Cops the Bird event, for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, you know, I went to today's event, I took a little walk and, I was quite surprised how it was smoothly it was running. Officer Moore did a great job, Jen did a great job cooking the hamburgers and hot dogs. And it was just nice to see it happen, and I'm glad I just took a little walk and came over and saw it.
That's nice.
Jessica, were you offering
Yes,
something?
yes. I just wanted to say thank you for the event. My kids and I, we do take advantage of that and it's truly helpful from the bottom of my heart. It's very helpful. And then I did have a second comment. I was trying to butt in before, but it's fine. Zoom's horrible. Today there was the teacher, where they go in and they watch videos, they learn, but I know that a police commissioner or somebody was there. Chubb, was that you?
Yes.
Oh, okay. And that's amazing. I'm so glad they recognize that. So is there anything you can tell us about that or?
So the Board of Education invites all board chairs.
Awesome.
And Chuck was kind enough to accept his invitation and come. And so that's not normal because some of the board chairs work during the day and convocation is held during the day.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really nice thing that the Board of Education does. And I think it was very nice that our chairman was there.
I
He
am
did
so
not
grateful that you went. That's amazing. Thank you. Thank you.
And I would say that sitting up front is not ideal.
Where was I, Chuck?
You were at the back.
There you go. That's years of training. No, Superintendent Drezig did a very, very nice job today, and I think he's going to do an exemplary job for the town. So looking forward to working with him.
Okay.
Is it possible that we can join, like maybe have a sign-up sheet for the turkey event so that we can participate in that or?
So we can talk about that. Here is the issue. If we allow our staff to not have to commit to these events because other people are there, then it's going to lose its intent. And so I believe very strongly, and I've talked with past commissions about this, that it is very important that the members of the agency staff these events. The minute we make it easy for them to not have to be there, they won't be there. And I think it's very important as a local police officer or a member of this agency to be there.
Okay.
And so we can talk about that as that gets closer, but that has been my stance for 15 years. And some commissioners take it as I'm pushing them away. That is not the case. My stance is that I want my staff to step up because everyone that's employed in the Department of Police Services is a human being. And those times that we do those things are human beings helping human beings. And I need them to internalize that and see that there's holes in the schedule that they must fill, otherwise people go hungry.
You know, Jackie, if I can chime in, I'm one of those people that actually really do need this, you know, like the school supply thing was amazing. So if I had to stand, I mean, I would do it obviously, but if I had to stand there as a police commissioner, I would almost feel like I was being fake. Like, oh, hey, I don't need this, but like I'm helping out at this event. So I think that you have to pick and choose wisely who, you know, does stand at these events, who represents, you know, people who help people. And I don't know if that makes any sense to you. I hope it does.
Okay. And they also have that certain amount of hours, right? That they
That they
give
have
back
to
to
do
the
contractually,
community
yes.
jobs or.
Maybe
jobs.
as a commission, we could donate, like make a donation.
Yeah, so I think, here's what I think, if the commission all want to show up at a certain time and give by chance meeting, so no FOI violation, but you show up and donate turkeys all together, and we take a nice picture, that's cool. I just don't want the event to be politicized. And sometimes when you involve elected officials, it becomes that way. That's not what holiday giving is about to me, and I don't ever want it to look that way.
No. Well, it also gives the officer some face time with the public.
Correct, which is important, right? So like I said to you folks, when the packets were going around, I'm like, hey, have some conversation, right? Make that human connection with the police officer coming to your door to hand you the packet. That's what it's all about, right?
I've made great friends at the dispatch window.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. But I mean, I think those interactions are important, right? They really are.
Okay. I'm happy to make a donation because I'm pretty passionate about it.
Kind of like what you guys did for the diaper event.
Yeah,
You brought the diapers, I think that was fantastic.
Okay, let's move on to item 6, discussion and possible action regarding traffic safety issues. Chief, I'd like to begin by just going through them one at a time,
Sure.
asking you to give us your perspective on each of these issues. One is Ferry Road speeding.
Yeah, can I make an overarching statement? Sure. So I think that this agenda item has caused some notoriety in the community. We don't have a public that is questioning whether or not we enforce motor vehicle laws. We have some folks that click on the contact on your webpage and let you know of their traffic complaint. The only way traffic complaints can be handled is through the department operation, right? So emailing the police commission to say, the light at Route 1 and Schoolhouse Road is never obeyed. There's no mechanism, and remember this from the bylaws, I think it was actually one of the examples that the attorneys used. There's no mechanism for the police commission to say, hey, put a cop out there and start giving tickets at Route 1 and Schoolhouse Road. Not your job. And so when I see these individual complaints, what I have to do is ask myself the following. Is this an individual concern of just one person? Is this a problem that needs to be addressed, or are we not properly doing our job? And so when I look at our patrol force, I know that on each shift, there's how many cops?
9.
Yeah, right. How many?
3.
3.
3, right? 1 sergeant, 2 patrolmen. And if they're going to call for service after call for service, there's no time to do proactive policing, which motor vehicle activity is part of. Not in its entirety, part of, right? Community policing is, proactive motor vehicle enforcement, other things that we do, all that fits into that proactive time. And so I have to make sure that we're using our resources as best as possible. In the list that the chairman has in front of him, speeding on Ferry Road, kids on golf carts in the summer, no one stopping at crosswalks on Main Street. All these things have been addressed, and we can show that we have enforced these things when a police officer sees them or people make a complaint to us and we investigate it. Sending an email to the police commission that someone's speeding on a road does not solve anything. A call to the police department may. And so we do different things. We can deploy those speed trailers. Remember, we bought those a couple of years ago. We have 3 of them. They're all over town. If we find out that we have a problem area with speeding, we can deploy that. And then following that, we deploy a resource to give written warnings, and if it gets worse, to give tickets. Remember, our goal is the generation of voluntary compliance with the law. Our goal is not to give tickets. And in fact, there's a state law that says I can't tell our police officers to go out and give tickets. They each have individual discretion to a degree on how to enforce motor vehicle violations. And so we have a letter from a gentleman who is upset that there were kids on a golf cart speeding down the road. And he claims, or she claims, that we've done no enforcement all summer long. Well, that individual obviously has absolutely no idea what we've done as an agency. They don't have the ability to look at our data system and see what we've done. And in fact, the night before that email came out, we actually had to arrest 2 juveniles for getting into an accident, illegally operating a golf cart. But none of these issues that I see are plagues on the community or things that are issues. It's become an agenda item because it's gone to the commission rather than the department. But the department receives complaints about motor vehicle activity or people not obeying the motor vehicle law every single day. It's what we do. And so I would wish that when someone contacts the commission and says, there's someone speeding on my road, that the response isn't, we'll put it on the agenda 3 weeks from now. The response is, call the police department. That's what we do. We have to make a record of their call. We have to send an officer out to talk to that person and investigate. And then we'll determine if we have enough time to actually do an education or an enforcement element to their complaint. So that's how we handle this.
But that has been your response, hasn't it?
Sure.
To, like, see,
Yeah,
Chuck forwards it to you. or
Correct.
whoever.
But what I'm saying is, we want to encourage these people to call us.
I know that everyone has the argument that we're the local traffic authority. Well, I don't want to be personally, I'll tell you that right now. I don't know the first thing about that. But I seem to think that Chuck was handling it correctly.
Yeah, no, I don't have a complaint. What
I'm not
saying
sure,
is,
was this on here for some other reason?
I want people to reach out to the police department to let us know directly about their issue with someone not stopping in a crosswalk or running a red light.
The reason I was under the impression it made it to the agenda was because Jessica had asked to talk about the SS4A grant that the town was
Oh, yes,
authorizing.
that was it.
That is the reason. But then as that conversation or things that happened, we started getting more and more emails, which is,
Four, right?
Yes.
4.
in a very short period of
Right,
time.
but let's not make it seem like there's hundreds of
No,
emails.
no, but.
Because I got contacted by a reporter today who I think that,
Actually, chief, it was 5.
5, okay, but it's not hundreds.
It's not 100.
But somebody like Mike Bender.
Yep.
He put together a very thoughtful email to us and made a suggestion that maybe there's some interim, short-term kinds of things that can be done to kind of test the system and see if there are some solutions to bike safety, pedestrian safety.
So I've spoken with Mike Bender in the past, right? And so Mike Bender contacts me. I met him one morning at 6:30 a.m. on Old Boston Post Road to discuss his concerns because he was too busy to meet with me at any other time. And so it's important that people like Mike Bender are told, feel free to reach out to the police chief to talk about traffic safety. I'm more than happy to listen to his concerns. We're on some unofficial committee together now regarding bicycle safety. And so I think it's great that people have ideas. Let's sit down and talk about them. I have to deal with reality, right? And what's available for funding and what's available for resources. And so I'll tell you right now, my resources traffic safety wise for the last week have been patrolling and policing the soon-to-be school bus routes to make sure that we're calming traffic down and making sure that known school bus stops are safe. That's what we're doing. Now, does that mean that I'm pulling resources from Main Street traffic control to do that? Yeah, I am. It's a balancing act, right? 3 police officers every shift whose primary responsibility is calls for service. Now, one of those special assignment positions that I pulled away was someone dedicated to traffic enforcement 40 hours a week. Can't fill that position right now because we don't have anyone to fill that. But as we come back up to strength, right, we have these folks going in or graduating from the police academy, that might be something that we're better able to staff, where we can say to somebody spend 8 hours on Main Street. Chubb met a gentleman today at Convocation who was talking to me, thanking me very much, woke up one morning, had that little notice on his car left by the midnight shift officer that said his license plate came back unregistered. and to please register it so we don't have to give you a ticket. And he took the slip inside, went on his computer, re-registered his car, no ticket, no tow, no nothing. Just the general voluntary compliance of the law. And that's what we strive for.
Okay,
Sure,
I'm
but-
gonna chime in really quick if I can. And I want to come across as more like I'm generally concerned. I understand the whole day-to-day thing. I get that. Somebody didn't, somebody was speeding. I totally get that. But there are a lot of conversation, whether it's on social media or via communication with us, the police commission email, about the traffic. And I do think it's important for us to recognize the things that we can do to help you guys. So let me step back. So Ferry Road, we have heard like an immense amount of problems with that road. And
Well, there's
why
one
can we,
individual-
no, what could we do? Could we put a stop sign?
Happy, he thanked you on Facebook.
Oh, he thanked me I'm not on Facebook. I mean, I'm on Facebook. People spend a lot of time talking to me on Facebook, but I am not.
It's a gentleman who actually wrote to us and he said, shout out to the Old Saybrook Police Department,
Right.
so.
Yes, thank you,
it's
Renee.
not our job
But
to-
there's,
As a police commission, to tell you where to put your people and do their job. The bottom line is, you're the traffic authority in the town of Old Saybrook. All we can do is support you 100%, and that you're doing it the right way.
Right, and I appreciate it, but I want everyone to understand there's two separate things here, right? So the local legal traffic authority has to do with issuing permits for parades, or working with our traffic engineer to recommend where street signs go, or somebody calls and says, hey, I just moved in the neighborhood, I have a 3-year-old, can I have one of those slow children at play signs? And I say yes. That's the job of the local legal traffic authority. Traffic enforcement is a completely separate thing. That's solely and exclusively operational in nature. That's the deployment of resources. That's what we focus on traffic safety wise. And so the commission, as part of the local legal traffic authority that you designate that authority to make, any large project I've always come back to the commission with, right? So Big Y, when that whole complex went in, that was a whole commission thing. You remember that? We brought in the plans, we looked at everything. I briefed the commission on what I thought were traffic lights. If Whole Foods ever goes in, that'll become a police commission thing. I will bring that in. I'll say, here's the traffic engineering report. Here are my recommendations to go to state DOT. What is your feedback? So I can have it before I make final decisions. But the local legal traffic authority has nothing to do with the enforcement of motor vehicle laws. It's two separate. One is planning and one is solely operational in nature.
so
And so I
I
don't want to confuse the two topics. Right?
No, and I completely understand that. I think it's more what you said about like the signs. So let's just say that we have somebody who keeps saying that they need a sign here. Is that not the police commission's? Can we not just say, hey, we think this? We think there needs to
Just
be a
let me know.
stop sign at the Lower Ingham Hill at this point, let's just say.
Just either send them to me or send me an email and we'll look into it. Like nothing needs to wait to the fourth Monday of the month when it comes to traffic planning. Right? If someone thinks they need a new street light on their road, we actually send a police officer out at night to see if adding a street light makes sense. And then we do a report, oddly enough, to the first selectman, who decides if the town should expend money to install a new street light. I mean, we do these things all the time. And so
Okay.
if there's a commissioner who thinks that you're missing something, you're not. I mean, I offered to Chubb on the phone. I said, if you want me to have a standing agenda item where each month I say, I signed a permit for this parade, I approved a speed limit sign here, I'll do that. But I got the feedback that
I don't see the need for it.
No, but like, what if, okay, you checked it out, you checked out what the stop sign the way was supposed to be or not supposed to be. What if we disagreed? Then what?
well, I'm not, with all due respect, I'm not sure what anyone's expertise would be.
There's no stop sign like agenda here, by the way. It's just more
No,
of a,
what I'm saying is
Okay.
that to your point is, I don't know who on the commission has the expertise to say X, Y, and Z. Remember, My authority as the local legal traffic authority is limited to town of Old Saybrook roads. The state sometimes asks for concurrence with things. So they'll come in and say, hey, we're redesigning this new intersection. What do you think? And I'll say, wow, I love exclusive pedestrian phasing on the traffic light. You know, can we move the crosswalk 4 inches this way? Here's why, here's our accident data. But at the end of the day, the state decides what they want to do on their own roadways.
Right. So in regard to this grant though, and the areas that they said were, you know, problematic, like there's one at Fenwood where there's crosswalks and like there should be another one. I think that the police commission should have some sort of say and give some sort of time for the public to weigh in on that before we just
That is a state
announce.
road, But that's a state road.
So let's talk about. the
No, I
grant
get that.
here.
I get that. I get that.
A little shaken up here. So there is no grant. There's a grant application.
Right.
Okay,
That's what
and so the grant application happened this way. Our traffic engineer that is not hired by the police department, it's hired by land use. So you're a developer, you want to come in and do something. Sometimes the zoning commission or the planning commission says, we want to hear from a traffic planning expert. That's not Chief Spiro. That's an actual traffic engineer. They put those things on the roads that we drive over and figure out how fast people are going, what the traffic count is. They go out and take measurements. They compare it to national standards. So our traffic engineer that is hired through land use approached the town and said, hey, there's a federal grant out there. Would you be interested in applying for it? And so Carl, doing the right thing as the first selectman, if there's free money out there, well, it's actually our taxpayer money, right, coming back to us. If there's an opportunity for Old Saybrook to apply for and then maybe receive a grant, he does it. And so in this case, he had Chris Costa and Jennifer Donahue work on the grant application. Commissioner Kaye heard that in the letter or saw in the grant application, it says that Chief Spera, as the local legal traffic authority, will work with the first selectman. Now, was I contacted before that line went in the grant application? No. But is it a true statement? Of course it is, right? Whether Carl and I are best friends or not, we're certainly going to work together for the best interest of the town of Old Saybrook. And so if there's a traffic thing, he's going to talk to me about it. We have not received the grant. If we do receive the grant, well, it's for quite the sum of money. I think it's close to like $500,000, 300,000.
Yeah.
A majority of it is traffic planning. It's not implementation.
And it's not for a while out.
Yeah.
Correct. And so during my tenure as police chief, all of which I've been the local legal traffic authority, there have been many upon many grants or projects to plan to enhance traffic that I have never, ever seen come to fruition. So whether it's the CROG doing something or the town locally or the state or the federal government, there's always a lot of talk and engineering money, but there's very little money to actually do the projects. Now, here's a great example of Old Saybrook doing it. Our sidewalk grants. So over my 15 years as police chief, and certainly over Mr. Fortuna's tenure as first selectman, there has been a considerable effort to connect the town, to make it safer for pedestrians. And so that all started with this planning money and then eventually grant money to put sidewalks in. And so I don't think anyone should be concerned about a grant application. If we actually get the grant, let's see what it's for. If I think this is super duper important for the police commission to be involved with, I'll come to you. But if it's just a meeting where I'm gonna come and share our data about, hey, this is where we mostly find people speeding, this is where our accidents are from. UConn keeps track of all the accident data for the state. Here's the UConn report on the accident data. If that's it, then that's it. I mean, we're not talking about, you know, not building new bridges across the sound or connecting one part of town with an underground tunnel. That's not what this is. This isn't big stuff. This is just talking about how we can possibly make our roadways a little bit safer based on data collection and information from our traffic engineer.
But there's really nothing that we can do or talk about now
No,
because it's just a grant.
just a grant, and it's just an application.
It's an application.
And so look, I would expect that if we get this big grant and everyone wants to be involved, planning, zoning, I'm sure there's gonna be a town-wide information meeting where you can go to and have conversation. But no one should be worried that they're missing out on anything. I mean.
I think that I would just be, me personally, would be relieved if any concerns that people have about speeding on the road, that until this grant, I know it's 1 in a million. I know you just said that, but
No, I think we're gonna get it. We're very
You know,
successful in getting.
okay, but I would like you to spend, if you can, more time on the road if possible, that on those areas that people are complaining about. So Ferry Road, Lower Ingham Hill, Schoolhouse. Like, what's the data there? And I'm not questioning, but you know what I mean. Yes, like, how are you getting this data if you're not there?
So listen, over time, we've been criticized on being too tough with motor vehicle activity. And now it seems we're being criticized for
The other way around.
the other way around.
Yes.
And so. all I can tell
100%,
you as a
100%,
tenured
yes.
police chief-
Yes,
All I can tell you as a tenured police chief is things ebb and flow.
okay,
And we will address what we know the priorities are in our town. And so if we have an issue with stolen cars, we're gonna be focusing on stolen cars.
Right.
And while I'd like to spend more time doing proactive things, the rate of our calls for service has us in the reactive mode a lot of the time. This is not unique.
How can we flip that though? How can we flip it so
You're
that?
doing it hopefully tonight by hiring and filling spots, right? Because it takes people to work.
Because, I mean, I want to hear what you're saying, but I have a genuine concern about some of the things that were written in here and some of the things that I've witnessed with my own eyes.
And you don't think I do?
So,
And this is not
sure.
just Old Saybrook though.
please, I'm sure that's the case.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's not just Old
It
Saybrook.
is not.
But I think that as a group, we need to bring this kind of comment to you and how we feel about
Sure.
it. And that's why this was on the agenda to land.
Yeah, and
And
let me tell you something else.
it's completely comment, not conversation. I mean, it's complete conversation. We are not
Hold on,
saying
Jess.
anything negative,
Jess,
right?
hold on.
Just
Hold on.
hold on 1 second.
And so we know nationwide that proactive motor vehicle enforcement is down. We know it for a couple reasons. Number one, there's a manpower shortage everywhere that's getting better, right? It's getting better. And so while I tell you we're short-staffed and our priority is going to calls for service, other chiefs and sheriffs are saying that from sea to shining sea. I can also tell you unequivocally that police officers are more concerned than ever to conduct proactive motor vehicle stops because they are not inherently supported by the communities they serve. I'm not making a disparaging comment about the town of Old Saybrook, but cops worry about being the next 15-second clip on CNN. And so as laws get tougher for us to be able to properly police, you'll see less proactive motor vehicle activity. If I'm a police officer in my car, I decide whether I'm turning on the lights and stopping a car or I'm not. Part of that decision is not just, did I just see a violation of the law? Part of that decision is this safe or not safe? And is this going to be of professional harm or not? And so in a society where if I stop you for running that red light and I walk up to the car and I am perfect and professional and have done nothing wrong, but that person can file a civilian complaint against me, email it to the police commission, it goes to the chief, the person's put on notice that they're in an internal affairs, their union gets involved, there's that's a lot. It's not like I can just watch the video and go, no, they were wrong. We don't have that option anymore because the law has changed. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying that that's reality. And so before that police officer chooses to turn on those lights and pull over the car or not, those are some of the things that go through their mind. And so what I have to do as the leader of the agency is ensure them that if they are correct and they are doing everything right, that I will have their back. That they will have my full support to do the job that they were sworn to do. But it goes beyond me, right? It goes to this commission, it goes to the Board of Selectmen. It's one thing to say we support you and another thing to take actions differently. And so I know that that plays into the decision-making about stopping cars.
But that is also a
Let
totally
me
different
just-
subject than this.
Let me add my own comment here. I think if you look at the activity report and motor vehicle enforcement, you get a good sense of what the chief is talking about. Just take the August figures. Infraction 9, motor vehicle summons 6, verbal warning 22, written warning 62. What this is saying to me is that the police department is trying to operate with pretty much a light touch, warnings, not tickets.
Oh, absolutely. By directive.
And,
Absolutely.
you know, I think that's as it should be. Now, are there enough warnings? Well, not for everybody's taste. But is the department doing the best it can with the resources that the town commits to it? I think they are. You know, if we have 3 cars operating in any one shift, you cannot be everywhere at once. Now, should it be a priority to park one at a crosswalk to, you know, get the message out that that's, you know, important to do that? Well, how often are the people actually crossing and how much of a difference is it gonna make? Would that be a better use than having one at the fire station, as somebody has said? I leave that to the chief. I don't think we have the experience, background, competence to do that. Do I think it's a bad thing for people to send the commission emails? No, I don't. The sense I get from most of the correspondence is that they're frustrated because they're not getting the action they want when they first approach the department. So they want to take it up a notch.
Or they don't come to the department at all.
Or they don't come to the department at all. But usually I get the sense it's because they're unsatisfied with what's happened. I'm still not going to do anything except send it to the chief to his attention. Now, why did this get on the agenda? For the broad reason that Jessica intimated, and for the broad reason that I thought there were enough accumulated ideas that maybe we could have a discussion. And I go back to the opinion letter that maybe 4 years ago, 3 years ago.
The red light
Where-
scenario.
Yeah. And, you know, my recollection of that opinion letter was, of course, the police commission does not enforce the law. We do not have any operational responsibility. However, we do have a shared responsibility to suggest points of emphasis in the department. So if we're unhappy with the way, you know, pick an issue, the way alarms are being handled, how quickly you go to an alarm instead of to an injured person, just a wild example. You know, we could weigh in on that.
I think.
Do I think we want to weigh in on this? No.
I think a better example would be if I was directing my staff to focus 100% of their proactive time on community policing and none on proactive motor vehicle activity, I think it would be very appropriate for the police commission to say to me, Chief, that's great you like community policing so much, and so do we. However, I think you need to do a better job at
Balancing.
diversifying what your directives are to your patrol staff.
I think that's a good
Right.
example.
And so we're not doing that, right? We're not 100% there or 100% there. And remember, I have shown the commission and I've shown the Board of Finance how we keep track of everyone's daily time and how I know what they're doing every second of the day and what they're committing their time to. And I review that every single morning, right? So I get that report every morning at 7 a.m., ask my wife, 7 a.m., boom, all the emails go off. And I am reviewing that every day. And if I notice that a police officer is not conducting any proactive motor vehicle activity, we have a conversation. But they also get the same report every morning. So if I call an officer in to have a conversation that I don't think they're pulling their weight, they already know that they're not pulling their weight because they get the same report every morning. And that's how I lead the agency in a very transparent manner. And so I've had those conversations and I'll continue to have those conversations.
You know,
Okay.
I think the best thing that came out of this was just a discussion, like, so we know where we can or cannot touch upon. And, you know, Chief, would it be okay if we come to you, let's say, is it okay in the bylaws or whatever it is? Like, okay, Ferry Road is not being handled with, can you focus more on that? Or whatever.
Well, don't say it's not being handled because you're only hearing perhaps one.
No, I know, that was just an
So
example.
what
It's not-
I'd rather have is in between meetings, a commissioner call me and go, hey, I've been getting tons of complaints about speeding on Maple Avenue. Could you talk to the staff? Maybe we can put some resources there. I'll say, thank you very much. Right?
That's fair.
I don't
When you
think,
get the report, it'll show that there's more activity for that month
In that
because it was an
particular-
issue, right?
Okay,
Which means it's being done with.
and you'll also see, just so you know, as you're watching the statistics, you'll also see as people graduate the police academy and get off of field training, you'll watch these numbers grow because we'll have more people available to do more things and
Yeah.
therefore the data should.
It's,
All right.
it's
Well,
frustrating. I've seen some social media posts. I'm not a big social media guy because I've been threatened in my business numerous times where if I didn't perform or produce by a certain date, I was gonna get 1 million bad reviews. Anyway, so I'm off the social media platform basically. But I'm looking at something. I travel up and down Main Street 3 times, 4 times a day. I've seen people drive where the parking spaces are at breakneck speed.
That's a third
They
lane.
make their own
They're
lane, you know, and then look at me like I'm nuts because I'm making a turn and they're driving at me. But I see the social media posts that everybody's blowing through the crosswalks on Main Street. So then for 3 or 4 days in a row, I see a cop on Main Street. Every day I go by, I wave, the whole 9 yards. Then the next social media post is, well, it's in the wrong spot. It's like, you can't win.
Yeah.
It's here, it's there, it's never in the right spot, it's never there at the right time. It's frustrating, but it's there.
And these people
It
aren't
was
calling us,
addressed.
they're posting online.
Right, and I
Right.
get the
But I mean,
whole
that's what
social media
frustrates me.
thing.
That and the people that want the staffing study, because we have too many cops, want a cop at each neighborhood so that they can, feel that
Right.
the golf aren't gonna run up and down the
You
street.
know,
You know,
I really think this is a discussion that just needed to be had, and I'm glad it happened. So, thank you.
We often find like people when they complain about speeding cars in a neighborhood or running stop signs and we commit, time there. It's the people who live in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And then they get mad. Don't you have anything better else to do? Why are you in our neighborhood watching the stop sign? So,
Okay,
but thank you for this discussion.
thank you. Next item, comments from the public. Yes, sir.
Tom Stevenson, Old Saybrook. I want to tell you a couple of things here, and be careful what you wish for. I made a complaint to a member of the police department 25 years ago about speeding vehicles on my street. And the next morning, I'm being woke up about 6 o'clock in the morning, hearing thump, ka-thump, ka-thump. Because that officer put the box with a rubber hose right in front of my house. So anyway, so be careful what you wish for, because things turn around sometimes and are more efficient than you really want. The other thing is that I want to say to the chief that efficiency in law enforcement today, because of cell phones and electronic media and being able to swipe a license and you print out a ticket and everything, makes the job of the officer more efficient and he can do the job in less time. Also, the fact that with the cell phone and everything, they're helping the person that inadvertently didn't register their car, so that if they stop that individual, the officer has the ability and his own discretion whether or not the person over their own cell phone can register their car in lieu of getting the car towed right away. I think that's correct, isn't that, Chief?
Correct.
And so they made a positive interaction with somebody rather than a negative interaction. So that's all I have to say, and thank you.
Anyone on the line want to raise your hand? Larry?
No hands are raised.
Okay, comments from the chief?
So I'll have many comments during executive session, but I think I'll reserve them at least at this point for that time period.
Comments from commissioners? I'd like to start. It is no surprise to the people in this room and probably to any audience in town that I am not reluctant to speak out and call out when I think the chief has misstepped. I think I should be equally forthcoming when I think the chief has wrongly been accused of misstepping. And I have in mind the recent article in the Connecticut Examiner concerning FOIA requests. I've talked with the chief. I've reviewed the correspondence in detail. I've reviewed the statutes that are relevant. And I have to say that the chief is correct, and I'm not surprised that he is correct. I think the completely wrong impression is given by that article. Any other?
I would have read the article, but when I click on it, I have to pay money to see it, so it's like, I'm not doing it.
Jackie?
I'm glad that the chief was able to handle this in a very delicate and thoughtful manner, and for that, I appreciate you doing that. Thank you.
Renee?
I have no comments.
Jim?
I'm all set.
Mark? Good. Jessica, any comment?
All good. I'm gonna leave and join.
Thank you. All right. I invite a motion to go into executive session to discuss, well, why don't we do them all at once? A pending legal matter, to discuss collective bargaining, to discuss possible action for interviewing a candidate for the position of patrolman trainee. I invite the chief to be with us.
And
And no,
second,
any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
We are coming out of executive session to pick up item 11, discussion of possible action to appoint an individual to the position of patrolman trainee to fill a vacancy. Do I have a motion?
yes, I move that we appoint Jason Neely Rankin to the position of patrolman trainee upon the successful completion of the hiring process at a date and time selected by the chief of police.
Thank you.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay.
We're all seconding it, okay.
Any further discussion?
No.
Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Any opposed? None, unanimous. I invite a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you all for your work tonight.
Thank you.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Thank you.